A former casino training director just revealed something that's going to change how you see every dealer, every floor supervisor, and every casino host you've ever encountered. For 8 years, I worked inside the system. And what I discovered isn't just about how casinos take your money. It's about how they deliberately keep their own employees in the dark. The information I'm about to share exists in a locked vault that most people wearing casino uniforms will never access. By the end of this video, you'll understand more about how casinos really operate than 90% of the people who work there. What you're about to learn isn't just insider knowledge. It's forbidden knowledge that casinos specifically hide from their own staff. Here's what most people don't understand about casino operations. When you walk onto a casino floor, you assume the dealers know how the games work. You think floor supervisors understand the real odds. You believe casino hosts are giving you accurate information about your player rewards. But casinos don't operate that way. They've created something called information compartmentalization, where each employee only knows exactly what they need to perform their specific job. A dealer knows how to shuffle cards but doesn't understand actual win rates. A slot attendant knows how to pay jackpots but has no idea about machine profitability. A casino host knows how to offer comps but doesn't understand the algorithm determining what you receive. This isn't an accident. It's deliberate policy. And I'm going to prove it to you with pieces of insider information that casinos systematically hide from their own employees. Secret number 1, the real house edge numbers. When I started training new dealers, I was given a manual with official house edge percentages for every game. Blackjack was listed at 0.5% with basic strategy. Roulette showed 5.26% for double zero wheels. Craps displayed 1.4% on the pass line. These are the numbers dealers memorize. These are the figures floor supervisors cite when players ask questions. But here's what that training manual didn't include: the difference between theoretical edge and actual casino hold percentage. According to former casino finance directors, the real numbers tell a completely different story. That blackjack game with a theoretical house edge of 0.5%? The actual casino hold runs between 12 and 15% of player buy-ins. Let that sink in. Dealers are trained to believe the house advantage is half of 1%, but the casino is actually keeping 12 to 15 dollars of every $100 players bring to the table. I learned this from a dealer named Marcus who worked at a major strip property for 3 years. He was good at his job, friendly with players, and genuinely believed he was dealing a fair game with a tiny house edge. One night, he overheard 2 casino executives discussing monthly revenue reports in the employee cafeteria. They were celebrating that blackjack hold percentage had increased to 14.8% that month. Marcus was confused. He approached his pit boss the next day and asked about the discrepancy between the half% edge he'd been taught and the 15% hold the executives mentioned. His pit boss looked uncomfortable and said, "That's not really your concern. Just deal the game." But Marcus couldn't let it go. He started researching on his own time and discovered what casinos never explain to dealers. The gap between theoretical house edge and actual hold exists because players make mistakes. They don't use basic strategy. They take insurance bets. They split tens. They hit 16 against a dealer's 6. Every deviation from mathematically optimal play increases the casino's actual win rate. Here's why casinos hide this information from their own dealers. If floor staff understood that the house was actually winning 15 times more than the theoretical edge suggests, they'd realize their role in the system. They'd understand they're not just dealing cards, they're presiding over a mathematical massacre. According to internal casino training documents that most dealers never see, management specifically avoids teaching the difference between theoretical edge and actual hold because it would make dealers uncomfortable. One former training director told me directly, if dealers knew the real numbers, they'd feel complicit. They'd see themselves as taking money from people who don't understand math. That guilt would show in their demeanor, and it would hurt the casino's friendly atmosphere. So dealers are kept in the dark, trained with sanitized theoretical numbers, while the casino quietly collects hold percentages 10 to 30 times higher than what their own employees believe. But if you think that's manipulative, Wait until you hear what casinos hide about their loyalty programs, because secret number two connects directly to this and involves tracking systems that most floor employees don't even know exist. Secret number two: how Players Club algorithms really work. Most casino floor supervisors spend their entire careers recommending slot machines to players without understanding the mathematical systems running behind those flashing screens. I'm about to show you exactly how deep this deception goes, and it involves something called theoretical loss calculations that floor staff are never properly trained to understand. A floor supervisor named Jennifer worked at a locals casino in Las Vegas for 6 years. Players would ask her which machines gave the best rewards, and she'd confidently explain that playing longer at higher denominations earned better comps. She believed she was helping players maximize their benefits. She had no idea she was completely wrong about how the system actually worked. Here's what Jennifer was taught in her 3 days of Players Club training. The casino tracks your play through your player's card. The system calculates something called theoretical loss, which is your average bet multiplied by the number of spins or hands you play, multiplied by the house edge. This theo loss determines your comp dollars. Seems straightforward, right? Play more, bet higher, earn more rewards. That's what Jennifer told players for 6 years. That's what most floor hosts and supervisors still believe today. But according to former casino marketing directors and leaked internal analytics reports, the actual player tracking system is far more sophisticated and far more manipulative than anything floor staff are taught. The real system doesn't just track your theo loss. It tracks your reinvestment rate, which is the percentage of winnings you put back into machines. It monitors your loss tolerance by analyzing the point at which you historically stop playing after losing a certain amount. It calculates your lifetime value by predicting how many more years you'll gamble and how much you'll lose over that period. It even assigns you a volatility score that predicts how likely you are to chase losses. All of this data feeds into dynamic comp algorithms that adjust your rewards in real time based on factors that have nothing to do with theo loss. Jennifer didn't know any of this. Neither do most casino employees working the floor today. Let me give you a specific example that came from internal casino analytics documents. A player betting $3 per spin for 4 hours generates approximately $216 in theoretical loss, assuming a 92% RTP slot machine. Standard comp formulas would return about 30% of theo loss, which equals roughly $65 in comp value. That's what floor supervisors think is happening. But the actual system works differently. According to leaked casino marketing data, if that player has a high reinvestment rate, meaning they typically put 80% or more of their winnings back into machines, the system automatically reduces their comp percentage to 20% of theo. Why? Because the casino knows this player will keep gambling regardless of comp generosity. They don't need extra incentives. Conversely, if a player shows a low reinvestment rate and tends to cash out when ahead, the system flags them for enhanced comps to encourage longer play sessions. The casino might give them 40% of theo, or even higher because they need extra motivation to continue gambling. Floor hosts like Jennifer make recommendations based on incomplete information. They tell players that betting higher and playing longer always generates better comps, but that's not how the algorithm actually works. A player who bets $5 per spin but cashes out frequently might receive lower comp percentages than a player betting $1 per spin who consistently reinvests winnings. The system isn't rewarding play volume. It's rewarding behavior patterns that indicate a player will lose more money over time. This distinction is deliberately hidden from casino floor staff because if they understood it, they'd realize they're not helping players get rewards. They're helping the casino identify and exploit vulnerable gambling patterns. There's a documented case from a mid-tier Las Vegas casino where a player we'll call Robert played slots 3 times per week for 2 years. He was friendly with several floor hosts who tracked his play and recommended machines. They told him his consistent betting would earn excellent comps. What they didn't know was that Robert's player profile had been flagged by the marketing analytics system as high lifetime value due to his consistent reinvestment rate and increasing loss tolerance. The system identified that Robert was gradually betting more when losing, a behavioral pattern indicating problem gambling development. Instead of the standard comp formula, Robert's account was placed on what internal documents called an enhanced retention protocol. He received higher than normal compy, percentages specifically timed to arrive after significant losing sessions. The goal wasn't generosity, it was extending his gambling career by preventing complete bankroll depletion in any single session. Robert's floor host friends genuinely believed they were taking care of a valued player. They had no idea the comps they delivered were algorithmically timed interventions designed to keep Robert gambling longer. This is the dark reality of modern player tracking systems, and it connects directly to something even more calculated that casinos hide from their security staff. Secret number 3, the real slot machine operating costs. Remember how I mentioned casinos create information silos where employees only know exactly what they need for their specific jobs? This next revelation shows exactly how that compartmentalization protects casino profits at the expense of employee understanding. Slot attendants spend their entire careers watching machines generate revenue, but they have no idea what those machines actually cost to operate or how profitability is really calculated. What they believe about machine performance versus what casino executives know represents one of the most carefully guarded secrets in the industry. When slot attendants receive their training, they learn basic information about machine maintenance, jackpot procedures, and customer service protocols. They're told that slot machines are the casino's most profitable gaming category, generating approximately 65 to 70% of total casino revenue. That part is true. What they're not told is the sophisticated financial analysis that determines which machines occupy which floor space and why certain machines get promoted while others are quietly removed. A slot attendant named Jennifer worked at a regional casino for 5 years. She noticed that certain penny slot machines always seemed busy, while some dollar machines sat empty. She assumed the penny slots were more profitable because they had more play. She had no idea how wrong that assumption was. Here's what casino executives know that floor staff don't. Every slot machine occupies a specific amount of floor space, and that space has a calculable value based on revenue per square foot expectations. A typical penny slot machine occupies approximately 12 square feet of floor space when you account for the machine itself and player chair clearance. According to internal casino operations manuals that slot attendants never see, casino management expects each square foot of slot floor to generate between $250 and $400 per day, depending on property tier and location. That means a single penny machine occupying 12 square feet needs to generate between $3,000 and $4,800 in daily revenue to meet floor space profitability targets. Jennifer had no idea these calculations existed. She thought a machine was profitable if it was busy, and players seemed to be enjoying it. The reality is far more calculated. Former casino operations managers reveal that machines are evaluated on a complex matrix of metrics that floor staff are never taught. Revenue per square foot is just the starting point. Casinos also calculate lease costs if the machine is leased rather than owned, which runs between $500 and $1,200 per month for popular titles. They factor in maintenance costs, averaging $200 to $400 per machine annually. They analyze electricity consumption, which seems minor but adds up across hundreds of machines. They track labor costs for slot attendants servicing that specific machine. And most importantly, they monitor something called theoretical win percentage, which is the machine's hold percentage multiplied by coin-in volume. All of these factors combine to create a profitability picture that has nothing to do with whether the machine looks busy. There's a documented case from a tribal casino in the Midwest where a bank of penny slot machines occupied premium floor space near the main entrance. These machines were constantly busy, and slot attendants assumed they were top performers. What the attendants didn't know was that casino management had access to back-end profitability reports showing these machines were actually underperforming. The machines generated high coin-in volume because they were pennies with low volatility, meaning players could spin frequently without losing their bankroll quickly. But the actual revenue per square foot was only $180 per day, well below the property's target of $300. Meanwhile, a bank of dollar machines positioned in a less visible area generated $350 per square foot, despite having fewer players. Casino management knew within 2 months that the penny machines needed to be relocated or replaced, but slot attendants continued recommending them to players based on apparent popularity rather than actual profitability data they were never given access to. This knowledge gap serves a specific purpose. If slot attendants understood the real profitability metrics, they'd realize that casino floor layouts aren't designed for player convenience or enjoyment. They're designed for maximum revenue extraction per square foot. Those penny machines positioned near entrances and walkways, they're there because they're low volatility, meaning players lose money slowly, which makes them willing to play longer in high visibility areas where their activity encourages others to gamble. The high volatility dollar slots are positioned in interior locations because casinos want players who are already committed to gambling to find them, not casual players walking by. Every machine placement, every floor layout decision, every promotional spotlight serves the revenue per square foot calculation that floor staff don't even know exists. And speaking of things casinos calculate without telling their staff, what I am about to reveal about surveillance capabilities goes far beyond what even veteran security officers understand. Secret number 4 exposes a level of monitoring that made several longtime employees question whether they wanted to continue working in an industry that tracks not just gaming activity, but human behavior patterns most people would consider invasive. Secret number 4, surveillance capabilities beyond gaming. What I am about to tell you about casino surveillance shocked even veteran security officers who thought they understood the systems they operated. Most casino employees believe cameras exist to catch cheaters and protect against theft. They think surveillance rooms are staffed by people watching for card counters, dice sliders, and slot machine manipulators. That's what training programs teach. That's what floor supervisors tell new dealers when they ask about the black domes covering every inch of ceiling space. But according to former surveillance room operators and leaked documentation from major casino technology providers, modern casino surveillance capabilities extend far beyond gaming protection into territory that would make most employees deeply uncomfortable if they knew the full scope. Here's what casino security officers are told during their initial training. The casino uses high-definition cameras to monitor gaming activity, track cash handling, and document any incidents that occur on property. Surveillance can zoom in close enough to read serial numbers on currency and identify individual playing cards on table games. The system records everything, and footage is stored for varying periods depending on state gaming regulations. Security officers learn to operate camera controls, file incident reports, and coordinate with floor management when suspicious activity is detected. This training typically lasts 2 to 3 weeks. What it doesn't include is any mention of the facial recognition systems, behavioral analysis algorithms, or emotional state monitoring capabilities that modern casino surveillance has been using for the past 7 years. A floor supervisor named David discovered this by accident during his 4th year at a downtown Las Vegas property. He was called to the surveillance room to review footage of a player dispute from earlier that evening. While waiting for the technician to pull up the relevant video, David noticed something unusual on one of the monitors. Instead of showing a normal camera feed, the screen displayed a casino floor view overlaid with colored boxes around people's faces. Each box had a number and what looked like a percentage. David asked what he was looking at. The surveillance technician quickly switched the monitor to a different feed and said it was just a system test. But David had seen enough to start asking questions. Over the next several months, through conversations with surveillance staff he'd befriended, David pieced together what was really happening in that room. The facial recognition system David glimpsed wasn't just identifying known cheaters or self-excluded problem gamblers, which is what casino management tells gaming regulators these systems are for. According to surveillance operators who spoke confidentially, the system tracks every person who walks onto the casino floor, cross-references their face against the player's club database, and creates a real-time profile, even for players not using their loyalty cards. The colored boxes David saw represented different player categories based on algorithmic analysis. High-value players received green boxes, Players flagged for potential advantage play showed yellow. Individuals on self-exclusion lists appeared in red. But there were also blue boxes, and when David finally learned what those meant, he understood why the surveillance technician had been so quick to switch the monitor feed. Blue boxes identified players exhibiting behavioral patterns associated with high loss tolerance and emotional decision-making. The system was tracking not just who people were, but how they were likely to gamble. The technical capabilities go even further. Former surveillance room operators report that modern systems integrate facial recognition with player tracking data, bet sizing patterns, and even micro-expression analysis. The software can detect when a player's betting increases after a loss, which indicates potential tilt or chase behavior. It monitors how long players stay at machines or tables after significant wins, flagging those who show high reinvestment rates. It tracks movement patterns throughout the casino floor, identifying players who are wandering versus those who move purposefully to specific games. All of this data feeds into real-time alerts that notify floor managers and casino hosts about opportunities for intervention. That's why a casino host sometimes appears at your machine moments after you hit a jackpot. It's not coincidence or attentive service. It's an algorithmic alert triggered by surveillance systems that floor staff don't even know exist. Here's a specific example from internal documentation that a former Atlantic City surveillance operator provided. A player who normally bets $5 per hand at blackjack suddenly increases to $25 after losing 3 hands in a row. The USR surveillance system detects this betting pattern change and generates an alert categorizing the player as emotionally escalating. This alert appears on Pit Boss tablets, those handheld devices floor managers carry that most employees think just track table fills and player ratings. The Pit Boss receives a notification suggesting a host intervention or complimentary offer to extend the playing session, while the player is in an emotional state likely to generate higher revenue. The Pit Boss has no idea this recommendation came from behavioral analysis algorithms. They think they're just getting a reminder to take care of a valued player. They don't know they're receiving instructions from a system designed to exploit emotional vulnerability. The surveillance capabilities extend beyond the casino floor into areas that even security directors aren't fully briefed on. According to former casino technology consultants, some properties have implemented systems that track where players park, how long they spend in restaurants or entertainment venues, and even purchasing patterns at retail shops. This data integrates with gaming behavior to create comprehensive profiles that predict lifetime player value with disturbing accuracy. A player who parks in premium garage levels, dines at upscale restaurants, and purchases designer goods from casino shops gets flagged for high-limit gaming recruitment, even before they've sat at a single table. The system is building psychological profiles based on non-gaming behavior, and virtually no casino employee outside of executive management and specialized analytics teams knows this is happening. Why do casinos keep these capabilities hidden from their own staff? Former surveillance managers explain that employees become uncomfortable when they realize the extent of monitoring. Dealers start to feel like they're participating in something more manipulative than gaming entertainment. Floor supervisors question whether the friendly hospitality they provide is actually psychological manipulation facilitated by hidden systems. Even surveillance operators themselves sometimes request transfers to other departments after learning the full scope of what they're monitoring. One former surveillance director told me directly that turnover in surveillance rooms increased significantly once operators understood they weren't just watching for cheaters. They were operating behavioral tracking systems that profiled emotional vulnerabilities. Casino management addressed this by further compartmentalizing information, ensuring new surveillance hires only learned the gaming protection aspects of their job, while keeping the predictive analytics functions hidden even from many people working in the surveillance room itself. And if you think behavioral surveillance is calculated, wait until you hear about secret number 5, which reveals how casinos use all this data to target something they call reinvestment rate, and the timing of host interventions based on this metric is so precise it will change how you see every complimentary offer you've ever received. Secret number 5, the reinvestment rate targeting system. Remember that question I posed earlier about casino hosts appearing at the perfect moment? What I'm about to reveal explains exactly how that happens. And it involves data analytics so sophisticated that casinos hide it even from their own marketing departments. The compartmentalization goes deeper than you might imagine. Casino hosts spend their entire careers believing they're building genuine relationships with players, offering personalized service based on intuition and experience. They have no idea their every move is choreographed by algorithms tracking something called reinvestment rate, and the timing of their interventions is calculated down to the minute based on predictive models that would disturb them if they understood what they were really doing. A casino host named Patricia worked at a major Las Vegas strip property for 6 years. She prided herself on knowing her players, remembering their birthdays, asking about their families, and appearing tableside or at slot machines at moments when players seemed to need encouragement or recognition. Patricia genuinely believed her success came from people skills and emotional intelligence. She had no idea that the tablet device she carried contained real-time alerts generated by back-end systems, analyzing player behavior patterns she'd never been trained to understand. Those perfect timing moments she attributed to intuition, they were algorithmic notifications triggered by surveillance integration with player tracking databases. And what they were really tracking was how quickly players put their winnings back into machines. According to former casino analytics team members who've provided documentation about these systems, reinvestment rate has become the single most important metric in modern player development. It measures the percentage of winnings a player returns to gaming rather than cashing out. A player who wins $200 and immediately puts 180 back into machines has a 90% reinvestment rate. Casino systems track this behavior across thousands of sessions, building profiles that predict with remarkable accuracy how individual players will respond to winning. Internal reports from major casino analytics providers suggest that casinos specifically target players with reinvestment rates above 75% because these individuals represent the highest lifetime value. They're not necessarily the biggest bettors or the longest players, but they're the ones who almost never walk away with casino money. Everything they win goes back into the system, and sophisticated tracking allows casinos to identify and cultivate this behavior pattern. The mechanism works through real-time alerts that hosts like Patricia receive without understanding their algorithmic origin. When a player with a documented high reinvestment rate hits a significant win, say $500 or more on a slot machine, the system generates an immediate notification to assigned hosts. The alert appears as a simple message suggesting a check-in with the player, maybe offering a beverage or restaurant comp. Patricia would see these alerts dozens of times during each shift and believed they were automated reminders based on win amounts. She didn't know the alerts were specifically timed to arrive during what internal casino documents call the reinvestment window, which is the critical 15 to 20 minutes after a significant win, when players are most likely to either cash out or continue playing. Casino analytics teams have determined through years of data analysis that host contact during this window increases the likelihood of continued play by 38% among high reinvestment rate players. There's a heartbreaking story documented in employee incident reports from a Mississippi Gulf Coast casino about a player named Robert who became a case study in reinvestment rate, targeting without ever knowing he was being studied. Robert visited the casino twice weekly for 3 years, playing dollar slots for 4 to 6 hour sessions. His assigned host developed what she believed was a genuine friendship with him, always seeming to appear when Robert needed encouragement or was considering leaving. What the host didn't know was that Robert's player profile had been flagged by the analytics system as exceptional. His reinvestment rate over 36 months averaged 94%. Robert almost never left the casino with winnings. When he won, he played higher denominations or switched to games with bigger jackpot potential. The system identified this pattern and generated host intervention alerts timed specifically to Robert's winning sessions. The documented case shows that over 3 years, Robert received host contact during winning sessions at a rate 3 times higher than during losing sessions. His host believed she was congratulating a lucky player. She didn't know the system was ensuring Robert stayed in the building during the precise moments when he had money to reinvest. The internal documentation reveals that Robert's total lifetime loss exceeded $85,000. with host interventions credited for extending his average session length by 42 minutes and increasing his reinvestment rate from an already high 87% in year 1 to 94% by year 3. Robert's host genuinely cared about him, asked about his family, and felt proud of the relationship they'd built. She had no idea she was the human face of an algorithmic extraction system designed to identify and exploit behavioral patterns associated with problem gambling. This connects directly to surveillance capabilities, player tracking integration, and the incomplete training protocols that keep casino employees operating in the dark. Host tablets receive alerts generated by systems analyzing data from cameras, player cards, and even machine telemetry, but hosts are told these are simple play-based notifications. Casino management deliberately keeps hosts unaware of the behavioral psychology behind the alerts because testing revealed that hosts who understood the algorithmic manipulation became uncomfortable delivering what they now recognized as calculated interventions rather than genuine hospitality. The authentic human warmth that makes host interactions effective requires hosts to believe they're providing real relationship-based service, not executing retention protocols designed by data scientists studying addiction patterns. And if this calculated timing disturbs you, secret number 6 reveals something even more sophisticated about how casinos predict exactly when you're about to quit and what they do to keep you playing just a little bit longer. Secret number 6, the predetermined loss tolerance thresholds. This one is so calculated that several former employees stated they would have quit immediately if they'd known what was really happening behind those friendly interventions and complimentary offers. What pit bosses think they're doing when they rate players and what's actually occurring in the back-end systems represents perhaps the most disturbing gap between employee understanding and casino reality. The belief versus the mechanism. The human gesture versus the algorithmic calculation. A pit boss named Michael discovered the truth during his 7th year working table games at a regional property in Pennsylvania. And what he learned made him question every player interaction he'd facilitated throughout his entire career. Pit bosses receive training on player rating systems that seem straightforward and reasonable. They learn to estimate average bets, track playing time, and input this data into the casino management system. They're told this information determines comp eligibility and helps the casino reward loyal players appropriately. Michael believed for 7 years that he was simply documenting play patterns to ensure fair treatment of customers. He had no idea the data he entered fed into predictive algorithms analyzing loss tolerance thresholds, which are individually calculated breaking points where specific players historically stop gambling after reaching particular loss amounts. Based on analysis of internal casino operation systems accessed by former analytics team members, these algorithms can predict within remarkable accuracy when an individual player is approaching their personal quit point, and the system generates specific intervention protocols designed not to protect players from further losses, but to extend their gambling sessions beyond what would naturally occur. The mechanism works through historical pattern analysis that most casino employees never learn exists. When a player uses their loyalty card across multiple sessions, the system tracks not just how much they bet and how long they play, but specifically at what loss point they leave the property. A retired teacher named Susan provides a documented example from internal casino incident reports. Over 18 months of twice-monthly visits, Susan's playing patterns showed consistent behavior. She would typically stop playing after losing between $2,000 and $2,500 per session. The system identified this threshold and flagged her profile for intervention protocols, timed to activate when her session losses approached approximately 85% of her historical quit point. Internal reports suggest casinos deliberately intervene before players reach their full tolerance threshold, because the goal isn't preventing a single devastating loss, but rather preserving the player's willingness to return for future sessions. When Susan was down $2,800 during a Saturday evening session, well above her normal tolerance, the system generated what internal documentation calls a retention alert. Her assigned host received a notification suggesting immediate contact with a premium offer. The host approached Susan's machine and offered her a complimentary suite upgrade for that night. a $100 food credit, and tickets to a show the following evening. Susan accepted, feeling valued and appreciated during a frustrating losing streak. She had no idea the offer was algorithmically timed to arrive at the precise moment. Predictive models suggested she was minutes away from leaving the property. The intervention worked exactly as designed. Susan stayed at the property, used her food credit at the steakhouse, attended the show the next day, and returned to the casino floor for another session, where she lost an additional $900. The system successfully extended her gambling career past a natural breaking point, and her host genuinely believed she was providing excellent customer service to a valued guest. Floor staff unknowingly participate in these interventions constantly, trained to offer breaks, complimentary amenities, or simple encouragement at moments they believe represent good hospitality timing. They don't know their actions are coordinated by systems tracking loss accumulation against historical tolerance thresholds. The cruel calculation embedded in these protocols is that casinos aren't trying to stop players from losing everything in one session. That would be obvious and potentially trigger self-awareness about gambling problems. Instead, the goal is distributing losses across multiple sessions, keeping individual losing streaks just below the threshold that would cause permanent departure while ensuring long-term total losses far exceed what would occur without intervention. Documentation from former player development managers reveals that players subjected to tolerance-based intervention protocols show lifetime losses averaging 42% higher than comparable players who don't receive these calculated interruptions, specifically because the interventions prevent natural quit moments and extend gambling careers across months or years longer than would otherwise occur. This means every seemingly friendly gesture from casino staff, the complimentary drink that arrives when you're frustrated, the host who checks in after a bad run, the pit boss who offers encouraging words about your luck changing, exists within a framework of algorithmic manipulation that employees facilitating these moments don't understand. If dealers and floor supervisors knew they were tools in sophisticated systems designed to identify psychological breaking points and intervene specifically to push players past natural stopping points, many would refuse to participate. Casino management understands this, which is why the training pit bosses like Michael receive carefully, excludes any mention of loss tolerance algorithms, predictive quit point modeling, or the retention protocols their daily actions are actually serving. Speaking of systems that manipulate without employees knowing, secret number 7 involves something casinos call emotional journey management. And what I'm about to describe is going to make you see every aspect of casino atmosphere in a completely different light. Secret number 7, emotional journey management. Former casino environment designers reveal that every aspect of the casino atmosphere, lighting, music, temperature, even carpet patterns, is controlled by systems that floor staff never learn about. What dealers think is standard casino ambiance is actually a sophisticated emotional manipulation protocol called the Emotional Journey Management System. According to internal operations manuals, casinos use dynamic environmental controls that adjust in real time based on player behavior data. When surveillance systems detect that players in a specific zone are experiencing losses and showing signs of frustration, the environmental management system automatically responds. Lighting becomes slightly warmer and softer. Music tempo decreases by 3 to 5 beats per minute. Temperature drops 1 degree to increase alertness. Air circulation patterns change to introduce subtle scent variations associated with relaxation. Floor staff, notice none of this because the changes occur gradually over 8 to 12-minute intervals. Dealers work their entire careers, never knowing the comfortable atmosphere they attribute to good casino design is actually an algorithmic emotional regulation system designed to keep frustrated players calm enough to continue gambling through extended losing streaks. If this information shocked you, please subscribe and share this video. Former casino employees risked everything to expose these hidden systems, and your support helps us continue revealing what the industry desperately wants to keep secret. Drop a comment below sharing which secret surprised you most, and check out our other videos where insiders reveal even more tactics casinos hide from their own staff. Knowledge is your best defense against manipulation.